Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Prabhupada, Paramahamsa, Parujagacharya, Ashtotar to the Sri Srimad Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai. ISKCON Bhakti Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa, Parujagacharya, Ashtotar to the Sri Srimad Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Jai. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktivinoda ki Jai. All glory to the assembled devotees. All glory to the assembled devotees. All glory to the assembled devotees. All glory to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Okay, before we begin, two little pronunciation things. The last line of that song we just sang, it's Yamuna. Short, long A at the beginning, short A at the end. Normally, we'll have the Yamuna River, right? Yamuna. But when you say of the Yamuna, as in Yamuna Tira, meaning the bank of the Yamuna, then it becomes Yamuna. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yeah, long A, then short A at the end. Yamuna. Also, Samsara Davanadalilaka, Tranaya. Because of the melody, we always say Tranaya. Tranaya. Yeah. Just little reminders. Narayanam Namaskritya Narang Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jai Mudiri. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, we should offer our respectful obeisances unto Lord Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayan Rishi, the supremest human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay. On this 28th day of December 2018 in SanDiego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we are in Canto 4, the creation of the fourth order. Chapter 8, Dhruva Maharaj leaves home for the forest. And we're reading texts 59 and 60 today, but we'll just chant 59. Evam kayena manasa Vajasa chamanogatam Paricharyamano Bhagavan Bhaktimat Paricharyaya Evam kayena manasa vachasa cha manogatam paricharyamano bhagavan bhaktimat paricharyaya. Evam kayena manasa vachasa cha manogatam paricharyamano bhagavan bhaktimat paricharyaya. Go ahead, Rajeshmi. Please initiate it. Evam kayena manasa vachasa cha manogatam paricharyamano bhagavan bhaktimat paricharyaya. Evam kayena manasa vachasa cha manogatam paricharyamano bhagavan bhaktimat paricharyaya. Evam kayena manasa vachasa cha manogatam paricharyamano bhagavan bhaktimat paricharyaya. Okay, so there's another verse I'll read and then I'll read the synonyms. Pungsam amahinam samyag bhajatam bhavavardanaha shreyo dashat abhimatam yadharmadishu dehinam. Evam, thus, kayena, by the body, manasa, by the mind, vachasa, by the words, cha, also, manahagatam, simply by thinking of the Lord, paricharyamanaha, engaged in the devotional service, Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, bhaktimat, according to the regulative principles of devotional service, paricharyaya, by worshipping the Lord. Okay, translation to both verses. Narada Muni still speaking. Anyone who thus engages in the devotional service of the Lord, seriously and sincerely, with his mind, words, and body, and who is fixed in the activities of the prescribed devotional methods, is blessed by the Lord according to his desire. If a devotee desires material religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, or liberation from the material world, he is awarded these results. Purport. Devotional service is so potent that one who renders devotional service can receive whatever he likes as a benediction from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The conditioned souls are very much attached to the material world, and thus by performing religious rites, they want the material benefits known as dharma and artha. Om jnana timurandasya jnanandana shalakaya chakshu unmiditam mena tasmai shri gurave namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, but my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisances unto him and all members of Sri Parampara. So, who can say why Narada Muni spoke this verse? Think about it, yeah.
To encourage Dhruva Maharaj in his practice of instruction.
Yeah, because that's was Dhruva's motive. Dhruva wanted a material result for whatever he was doing. He was ready to do any kind of yoga that Narada Muni told him. And of course Narada Muni, being Narada Muni, gave him bhakti yoga, knowing full well that the results of bhakti yoga is bhakti, more and more bhakti. But Dhruva wouldn't have practiced if he told him that. So he gave him this system, and then he's telling him, whatever you want. If you engage in this service very nicely, you will you can get any material religiosity, dharma, artha, kama, or moksha. That's really what he's telling him. So, of course, the whole theme here is that by this practice, this determined practice of Dhruva Maharaj for the kingdom, that's why he was engaging in it first, his desires were changed. You can get whatever you want, but Krishna is going to take away those material desires and award you with spiritual desires. So there's several verses like that. One that comes to mind, describing the real fruit of bhakti and how the other things are available to whatever degree you want them. Famous verse from Bilvamangal Thakur's Krishna Karnamrita. Bhakti stvahi, he's praying to Krishna. Bhakti stvahi stidatada bhagavan yadi syad daive nanak palati divya kishora murti. Mukti swayam mukulitanjali sevatesman dharma artha kama katayak sabayak patiksha. It's practically the same idea. So what he says there is that anyone who is fixed in your devotion, bhakti stvahi stidatata, just like here it says dhruva, or as manasa, vachasa, manogatam. In other words, the idea is very firm devotional service. Bhagavan, O Bhagavan, yadi syad, if one does that, then this comes about. Bhakti stvahi stidatata Bhagavan, he said, daivena nak palati divya kishoramurti. Then to us you will reveal the real fruit of that, which is a vision of your wonderful adolescent form, beautiful adolescent form. Divya Kishora Murti, divine adolescent form. That's the result. And as far as Mukti is concerned, she's over in the corner with her hands not folded, but with palms joined. There's a difference. The difference is that this is the Christian thing. That you're not offering anything. You're praying that something will come to you, right? But here, there's room in there to offer. That's why we have Pushpanjali. You keep the flower in there. And if nothing else, you keep your heart in there. You're offering to the Lord. So very important. Different mudras are really important. Just like Radharani's mudra here. Or sometimes you see people come into the temple and they don't know what's going on. But they know there's some kind of cult. In the back, standing, not chanting. This is not a good mudra for the... It means, no, it's not coming into my heart. I got it blocked. So there's a whole science of mudras. The dancers know, you express so many things, you can tell a whole story. So, Mukti Swayamukulatanjali Sevate Sman. Mukti herself is, Hare Krishna. Can we put it on mute? Mute. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. All right. So, she's waiting there to serve me. In other words, whatever I need in terms of mukti is there. And even dharma, artha, and kama are also waiting in the train. Whatever I need of them, we need a little kama, you got a little prasadam, you got to stay warm. So, so that's there. In other words, don't worry about that. The real fruit is the vision of Krishna and the flowering of bhakti to the ultimate degree. So, Narada knows that, but he's not telling him that here. He's telling him here, anyone who thus engages with body, mind, and words fixed, dhruva, blessed by the Lord according to his desire, if a devotee desires materially. Now, in fact, Prabhupada has often said, although he says in this purport, it's so potent that you can get what you want, that when Krishna really shows you his mercy, he takes away things, your material things. He says that to Yudhishthira. Yasyaham nagunnami hadashe tad dhanang shanai. That Prabhupada identified with this verse. He was a householder, and he was trying really hard to make his business go, but Krishna wouldn't let him. The business failed. And Prabhupada said, okay, I'll take sannyas. But Krishna says there that for one who I really show my mercy to, anugunnami, hadashe tad dhanang shanai. I take away gradually, sometimes suddenly, but he said gradually here, their wealth. And he goes on. And then their family members don't like him anymore because they're poverty-stricken, kick him out of the house. He says, the verses after that, in other words, you're forced to become, to give up that which you're hanging on, but you have to be a sincere devotee. So, I've heard Srila Prabhupada say, and also in the Bhagavatam it says, if you want, strong senses, strong sex life, worship Indra. If you want a really nice wife, worship Uma. If you want health, worship Surya. But then at the end, it says, akama savakama vamokshakama udadadi. Those who are truly intelligent, udadadi, whatever they want, they may not have any material desire, they may have all material desires, they may want moksha, they will practice intense service, tivrena bhakti yogena, to the Supreme Person. That's the all-auspicious thing. And whatever you need of those things will be given to you. But the real fruit of existence will be given to you, which is pure love for Krishna. So, they want the material benefits known as dharma artha. So any questions on this? I'm going to read another one. Oh. Thanks. Hare Krishna. Now I feel blessed. All right, we're going to read text 61. Viraktas chendriya rato bhakti yogena bhuyasa tang nirantara bhavena bhajetadha vimuktaye. If one is very serious about liberation, he must stick to the process of transcendental loving service, engaging 24 hours a day in the highest stage of ecstasy, and he must certainly be aloof from all activities of sense gratification. Purport. There are different stages of perfection according to different persons' objectives. Generally, people are karmis, for they engage in activities of sense gratification. Above the karmis are the jnanis, who are trying to become liberated from material entanglement. The yogis are still more advanced because they meditate on the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And above all these are the devotees who simply engage in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. They are situated seriously on the topmost platform of ecstasy. Here, Dhruva Maharaj is advised that if he has no desire for sense gratification, then he should directly engage himself in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. The path of apavarga, or liberation, begins from the stage called moksha. In this verse, the word vimuktaye, for liberation, is especially mentioned. If one wants to be happy within this material world, he may desire to go to the different material planetary systems where there is a higher standard of sense gratification. But real moksha, or liberation, is performed without any such desire. This is explained in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu by the term anyabhilashita shunyam, without desire for material sense gratification. For persons who are still inclined to enjoy material life in different stages or on different planets, the stage of liberation in Bhakti Yoga is not recommended. Only persons who are completely free from the contamination of sense gratification can execute Bhakti Yoga, or the process of devotional service, very purely. The activities on the path of apavarga up to these stages of dharma, artha, and kama are meant for sense gratification. But when one comes to the stage of moksha, the impersonalist liberation, the practitioner wants to merge into the existence of the Supreme. But that is also sense gratification. When one goes above the stage of liberation, however, he at once becomes one of the associates of the Lord to render transcendental loving service. That is technically called vimukti. For this specific vimukti liberation, Narada Muni recommends that one directly engage himself in devotional service. So here he's more or less gone beyond the previous verse, and he says, if one is one is serious about liberation. Dhruva, at this point, is not so serious about liberation. He's serious about getting that kingdom. But Narada Muni is kind of hinting and telling him, you don't want to stay entangled in this material world, which Dhruva eventually realizes fully. But then he wanted the kingdom, so he got the kingdom anyway, but he still remained detached, ultimately, just as the great kings like Yudhishthira, Parikshit, they're ultimately detached. But here he's giving important information. So, Prabhupada's going through the different stages of perfection. People have a certain mindset, you get a certain mindset, and then you see everything, yourself and the world and others, through that mindset. And it's very difficult to change that, except by some radical means like, chanting Hare Krishna and practicing Krishna consciousness and studying the Shastra and listening and developing faith in the world beyond the senses. It's very rare. Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid yadati siddhaye. Who's really trying for perfection, any kind of perfection, whether it's siddhis or moksha, any of this? Hardly anyone. That's why Krishna said, out of thousands and thousands of human beings, Manushyanam means human beings, hardly one strives for any kind of perfection, of Vedic perfection. And of those who achieve any kind of perfection, whether it's moksha or some siddhis, yogic siddhis, or going to the heavenly planets, hardly one really wants to know me in truth, or does know me in truth. So we have that opportunity to know Krishna in truth. We have a golden opportunity. We shouldn't waste it. Really, really rare. But all of the karmis, the gross karmis, certainly want sense gratification. But even the yogis and the jnanis, they cannot be really peaceful. Meaning they cannot feel that they have finally achieved their ultimate goal. They may delude themselves into thinking it for a while, but then they're not satisfied. There's always another yogi down the valley somewhere who's got more siddhis than you. And your moksha without devotion to Krishna is very unsteady. Ye anabindaksha vimuktamaninas trayasta bhavada vishuddhabuddhaya. The devas are chanting, praying to Krishna in the womb. And they're saying, besides the bhaktas, there are others, O lotus-navel Lord, who are averse to serving your lotus feet because their intelligence is not purified. There's still some envy there. They don't want to, the idea of bhakti, of being a humble servant for eternity, doesn't appeal to them. So they want to be, merge into the absolute and gain the Brahman. So to try to transcend the modes of nature, attain the Brahma Bhuta platform without bhakti is extremely difficult. Aruha kritrena parang padam. This verse says by a severe austerities, trying to burn out every vestige of material desire by severe austerities, We think to get up early is a severe austerity. But, to go out to the Himalayas, to try to live in the forest alone, in the cold. It's a little cold now. I looked, it's like 43 degrees here. It's supposed to get down to 37 next week. I never got that cold here before. But you imagine, the Himalayas 20, maybe 20 below, and you're out there, you have no space heater, you have... And so that's cold, and then the heat and the food is not there, and then the dangers and the animals and all this stuff. And from that, you're going to try to be peaceful and meditate, rise up. You see the difficulty. But the very few who do rise up, it's still not completely satisfying. To try to be detached from everything material and not attached to Krishna, it's pretty inconceivable for us. Whatever detachment we get from matter is only because we're getting some attachment for Krishna. During those periods when we're a little bit absorbed in the holy name and service, we feel, I don't have any other desire. But then we're a little less focused, then the desire comes back. So imagine trying to do it without any Krishna, just your own strength of will to control those senses in the mind. So therefore it says, patantyadho, they all fall down. Because they're averse to serving your lotus feet. So the jnanis can't really be secure or peaceful in their liberation. The yogis, there's always another siddhi to try to get, or someone else who has a better siddhi. We read about the Bhagavatam. Vishwamitra Muni is not very peaceful. Durvasa. You know what Durvasa means? We discovered this recently. You know, but you don't know. You weren't in class. You remember? You can't live with him. Difficult to live with. Difficult for you to live with him. Difficult for anyone to live with him because he's always angry. Somebody's offended me. And with those powers, you got to watch out. So that's not bhakti. Bhakti, a devotee is attractive. People want to hang out with him. They're kind and gentle and serving and joyful and blissful. So that's yoga. These guys are powerful yogis. You can imagine the siddhis that they have. So anyway, as Lord Chaitanya says, Krishna Bhakta Nishkama Ataeva Shanta. Because the real Krishna Bhakta, advanced Krishna Bhakta, has no material desires, Nishkama, and therefore they're peaceful. Because the most ardent thing you have that's most ardent that you desire is in your heart. Can you imagine always being able to be completely peaceful, just in Hare Krishna, to be completely satisfied eternally? That's what we find with Haridas Thakur, right? How can you be peaceful when just imagine ourselves, if someone is threatening to beat you to death and is actually beating on you, what's your mind? Your mind's going to be going nuts. But he's completely transcendental, being absolutely fixed on the holy name. Same thing with Prahlad. He is an incarnation of Prahlad. So, that's where peacefulness really lies. Now, we're not after, that's not our goal to be peaceful. Our goal is to serve Krishna and please Krishna. But one of the benefits of that is to be actually peaceful at heart in any circumstance and joyful. So, above all these are the devotees who simply engage in transcendental loving service. So, if Dhruva has no desire for sense gratification, he should directly engage himself in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Okay, well, he does have a material desire, but his yogic process that's going to get him fulfill his desire, supposedly, is a devotional process. Now, this word apavarga, it's worth going through this again. Apavarga means liberation, and most of you have heard this before, that our acharyas, sometimes they'll use words and they'll take them apart, and so it's easy to remember. It's like a mnemonic device. So apavarga, in Sanskrit, there are things called different groupings of letters, and they're called vargas. So the pa vargas, the ones that begin with pa means just the labial. You don't have to do anything in the mouth or the guttural, no, it's just the lips. Pa, ba, ma. No, excuse me. Pa, ba, and ma. 5 of them. So each one stands for a different material distress. So pa, who remembers? Parishrama, yes, hard labor. The hard labor, the hard struggle for existence. Who doesn't have to work? Just to live in this world, you have to work. So parishrama, not just human beings, everyone. So from that hard labor of working, sometimes foam will come to the mouth. That's called painila. That's the pH. Okay, painila. So you got parishrama producing painila, and then you have the bha. Now, Prabhupada's called bha, mostly called it bhyartata, which means futility. In other words, hard labor and then defeat. But it also can be just bondage. And then, from all of this hard labor and difficulties and dangers, you get fear, bhaya, an inevitable concomitant of living in the material world, fearfulness. And after all of this hard labor and foaming at the mouth and useless labor and fear, your crowning gift result is mrityu, death. No matter how much your success, death. So this is symbolic or just description in general of material life. Everybody. So apavarga means negating these. Striving toward a state of being where you're free of all of these things. And that's only in bhakti. That's liberation in devotional service. That's why it says mukti pade sadaya bhak, that famous verse. Tatenu kampam susamikshramano. This verse is key because at the end it says that one who lives in this mentality and has this mood is sure to go back to Godhead. So tatte anukampam susamikshramano means always looking for and seeing everything as the mercy of the Lord. Anukampam susamikshramana. Bunjana, experiencing. Bunjana is sometimes translated as enjoying, but in this case it's not enjoying. You're experiencing the good and the bad. Evatnukatam vipakam. Suffering your vipaka, your pains and sufferings and distress and depression, you know and you understand fully that it's due to something you did. You don't blame anyone else. You don't blame luck. It's just bad luck. You certainly don't blame Krishna. You blame yourself. You understand, well, something I did in the back is resulting in this. And Krishna is so kind that he's minimizing it. This is how we should think. So therefore, even though you're going through great suffering, your positive attitude toward Krishna and your faith in Krishna and God is maintained and nourished. You see? Not just maintained, but actually increased. Because you say, oh, it could be much worse. When can it not be much worse? So it could be much worse, but it's minimizing. And of course, everything that good happens, you say, oh, that's Krishna's blessing on me so I can do more service. So you see, in any circumstance, you're seeing the mercy of the Lord. That's the whole idea of this verse. So now, it can't just be a superficial idea. He says, tattenu kampam susamiksham bunjana evatmakatam vipakam rid bhag vabhubhir vidadhan namaste. So you continue offering your obeisances, means offering your service, with your heart, with your voice, and with your body. So that's everything. In other words, it's not some superficial idea, but it's a central fact of your life, that you're living moment to moment, seeing the mercy of the Lord, looking for the mercy of the Lord, and offering obeisances, humble service, with your heart, body, and word. Then, Yojivati, one who lives in this way, attains the position of mukti pade. That's real mukti, that's secure liberation. That's the only secure liberation at the lotus feet of the Lord. Dayabhak, one just like someone inherits. So this is a key verse, because most people, they approach, they're in the mindset of trying to enjoy or trying to survive in this world, material, bodily consciousness, and whatever religion they have is mediated through that conception. So that therefore you have this prosperity theology, they call it, or something like that. Oh, the very wealthy, they're getting the most grace of the Lord. They're the most religious. You can see. The people don't see that what they had to do to become rich is so sinful that they're due to become the worm and stool in the next life. They're not getting the mercy of the Lord. They're getting the mercy of the Lord in the form of punishment. And one day they'll come in touch with the real philosophy. What about even in their own Bible? Blessed are the poor. Not blessed are the rich, but it's become all distorted, Now, they may have picked it up from, the Hindu karma idea, right? Oh yeah, it was good karma. That means you did something pious in the previous life. Yeah, but what are you doing in this life with all that money that you made? You're paving your way to hell. Anyway, it's complete misconceptions. So people are praying ardently. During the wars, the wives send their sons and their husbands and their fathers and their brothers off to war, and praying ardently for them to return, fervently, and vast majority don't return. Oh, what kind of God is that? I went every day to the church. My knees are still hurting from all the time I put, and they forget it. Prabhupada tells this story. One of his German God brothers told him that happened during World War II. All the men had to go, and many of them never came back, or they came back broken and injured and wounded. So a lot of the women lost faith. So that's called Kaitava Dharma, cheating religion, and that's kicked out at the beginning of the Bhagavatam. And believe it or not, when Narada Muni came to Vyasadeva to encourage him to write the Bhagavatam, the first canto, there's a lot in there about how the Bhagavatam came to be written. He's condemning all the other Vedic literatures. They're like places of pilgrimage for crows, because many of them, they're encouraging some material desire. They're trying to say, okay, people who would have so much material desire, we'll give them a process where they can chant mantras and perform sacrifices, and there'll be a little Vishnu in there, and they'll be worshipping Indra, and they'll go to heaven, But that keeps them in the material world. So the Bhagavatam is at the highest platform. In the second verse, Dharma Kaitava, to kick it out. So, for liberation, especially mentioned, if one wants to be happy within this material world, he may aspire to go to the different material planetary systems with a higher standard of sense gratification. But real moksha, this is not moksha, that's sense gratification, is available for bhakti yoga. What did it say? He may aspire to go. But real moksha liberation is performed without any such desire. In other words, if you really want mukti, forget about it. You'll get mukti if you just practice bhakti. You really want to be and dive into an ocean of bliss, then forget about diving into an ocean of bliss. Just try to aspire to serve Krishna's lotus feet for his pleasure in any circumstance. And then you find yourself in that ocean anyway. So it's kind of tricky, because at the beginning, I want to get liberation. All the time that Prabhupada spoke about, you're going to die. Why? And take another birth. You have to practice devotional service if you want to get free of birth, old age, disease, and death. He's preaching liberation, because most people can relate to that. If you simply believe, if you can simply come to the belief of transmigration of the soul, then that inevitably takes you to the idea, well, let me get free of this horrible experience. Yeah, that's true, I know. I must have been in the womb. I was in the womb, and it must have been pretty traumatic to come out of the womb. I don't want to do that again. What to speak of dying repeatedly, thousands and more times. And then when, getting down into the lower species, they're all getting extinct now. You can't even, even if you're just an honest, hard-working insect, you can't find your habitat is being destroyed by those crazy humans. That's what's going on today. It's called an insect apocalypse. Haven't you noticed? Even I noticed. I used to have crickets in my apartment. Now there's no more crickets. Something happened here. Anyway, so if you're a little intelligent, you want to get mukti. The Prabhupada preaches mukti all the time. And then he says, but if you really want mukti, you have to go back to Godhead. You can't just go to the Himalayas. You can't just go up to the Brahma Bhuta. So the same thing is going on. Oh, you want this kingdom? Here's what you do. Chant Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya and worship, meditate on Vishnu in the heart. And this, so he's giving him all these bhakti reasons to achieve his goal. And at the end, his goal is simply to serve Krishna. Okay. Only persons who are completely freed from the contamination of sense gratification can execute bhakti yoga. So they can execute pure devotional service in that. But anyone in any state can execute bhakti yoga, at least by chanting Hare Krishna. You see? But as soon as you execute some bhakti yoga, you get the desire to improve your bhakti yoga. And then you say, okay, now niyam, there's all of these rules and regulations. That's why there's a point called initiation. It's all very scientific. Everyone is invited. Come by the millions and chant Hare Krishna. And then learn about the process of bhakti yoga. And now if you want to really advance, then you have to chant regularly on beads, and regulate your life this way. And then at a certain point you have to take vows, you have to take initiation. So it's all like a big funnel, Everybody likes to come and take prasadam. And then if you really like prasadam, you're going to get an association of devotees and hear Hare Krishna. And then if you're a little intelligent, you'll be curious, well, what is this whole thing, what they're doing here? So that's how it works. Bhagavatam is also like that. Okay. So I'll read this translation again. If one is very serious about liberation, he must stick to the process of transcendental loving service, engaging 24 hours a day in the highest stage of ecstasy. And he must certainly be aloof from all activities of sense gratification. Comments, questions? Yes, Prabhu.
You mentioned in your class that...
Oh yeah, use that.
You mentioned in your class that Prahlad Maharaj is Haridas Thakur. I thought Vasudev Dutt was Prahlad Maharaj, and I thought Lord Brahma was Haridas Thakur.
A lot of these great individuals, they can be more than one person at once. Like Ramananda Roy. Mm-hmm. Ramananda Roy is, Lord Chaitanya said, oh, Bhavananda Roy is his father. He said, you are actually Pandu, and these are all the 5 Pandavas, of whom Ramananda Roy, I think, is Arjun. But then we read, a little while later, though, he's Vishaka. And then some say he's actually Lalita, like that. So you could be several people at once. But I've heard that Haridas, of course, it's Brahma Haridas, but at the same time, he's also sometimes said to be Prahlad. Because of the same experience you can see. Yeah, inconceivable.
I mean, sometimes people may wonder, why would they, come to Krishna Leela, or why would they be in Krishna Leela, and then they come in Chaitanya Leela, Okay, there's Vishaka, Rupa Goswami, and they all appear in,
Gaura Gadadesh Deepika, there's a whole list there.
Chaitanya Leela. So what would we tell people, or what would we tell devotees who ask that? Because, at least from, I don't know, maybe a mundane point of view or something, it's like, okay, there's a gopi, which is a woman, and then she takes the form of a man, Chaitanya Leela to experience that or whatever.
Well, it all starts with Krishna himself. In other words, Krishna himself took the form of Lord Chaitanya, right, for the purpose of, for internal, external purposes. So, if Krishna's going to do it, we want to please Krishna. He needs all of his associates, in order to engage in this Leela. So they all have roles to play. And so it's in one sense you can say, well, it's a big sacrifice, coming down and, dealing with the material world and everything. But that's part of the bliss, the sacrificing for Krishna. Lord Chaitanya, he had so much opposition, the Bhattataris, and the impersonalists and everything. So I think it's the same idea, that when Krishna comes in any form, he comes with all of his associates, and they take on the different roles. Even when Krishna came, it was such a hassle, that for all of the devas came down, but they came to Nanda Maharaj, and they were all oppressed and repressed by Kamsa, so. But because Krishna came, they do it for his pleasure.
The women can't closely associate with Lord Chaitanya, so they have to take the form.
And that's another idea. Yeah. So because they're saying, okay, so a lot of the gopis, they came as the most intimate associates. Ramananda Roy, Raghunath Das Goswami, they're all Manjaris, Rupa Goswami. That's another. I hadn't thought of that one. They can closely associate with Krishna as Lord Chaitanya because they're in the same form of the body.
If they're women, they'd
exactly. They'd have to
really
offer basis from a distance.
Lord Chaitanya is really strict.
That's a good idea. All right. Anything else? All right, I'm going to start a new tradition. I'll end with a little poem. It's actually one of the principles is, what is it, Madhurayam Samarpayet or something? Is that you should end with something sweet. So, there's actually 3 verses describing how Krishna is entering into the forest, and then he's leaving the town of Vrindavan, going to the forest, and then he's running along the Yamuna on the way out with the cows and the boys, and then he's playing in the forest. So it says, with lovely peacock plume upon his head, and fragrant flower placed upon each ear, he enters Braja's woods with graceful tread, a handsome dancing actor without peer. His golden yellow raiment brightly glows, his splendid garland reaches to his knees, and from his luscious lips the nectar flows and fills his flute with charming melodies. As Krishna thus begins his blissful day with cowherd friends who sing his glories sweet, he beautifies Vrindavan's forest way with fine impressions of his lotus feet. Let's go, said Krishna, don't delay at all. And he and Balaram began to run ahead of all their cowherd friends who called, "O Krishna Rama, let us join the fun." And off they ran to Braja's forest haunts to play in every bower, grove, and sward. The boys would tease their friend with playful taunts, forgetting his position as the Lord. For Krishna and his multitude of friends, a festival of joy each day would bring. A special thrill in Braja's verdant glens was riding with them high upon a swing. O Ujjvala, Sridhama, Bhadrasain, Jasi, Vrindavan's bountiful delights, the peacock's dance, the songbird's sweet refrain, the lakes and hills and other scenic sights, all these make this the best place on the earth for us to play all day and herd the cows. Thus Krishna, in a mood of sportive mirth, enthused his friends while swinging from the boughs. And we have 1 minute. So in the final verse is, the sweetness of Sri Krishna's form beguiles, still sweeter is his face like autumn moon, but sweeter than the sweetest is his smile, whose luscious beauty makes the gopis swoon. Govinda's beauty captivates the doves, the swans, the deer, the cows, and every tree. Indeed, in Braja, every creature loves Sri Krishna and is drowned in ecstasy. That all attractive land is paradise, our home where we may dwell eternally. Most welcome there are those who pay the price to learn to love Sri Krishna perfectly. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.